Anthony, you've just informed me of some tragic news. We are not in Vegas. I don't know what to do with that.
But you have bedroom eyes.
Oh, yeah, baby.
I'm Anthony. Welcome to No Vacancy Live. That's my friend Glenn.
You're watching the #1 show in hospitality.
Hey, everybody. Glenn Hausman here with the one, the only Anthony Melchiori. Happy Monday, everybody. It is December 13th, 2021, and less than a week away till the days start getting longer again. Thank goodness.
And just so everyone understands my comment, Glenn has a green screen of a bedroom behind him.
I did. Well, it's more of a hotel guest room than
A
anything
hotel
else.
guest room, which is also called a bedroom.
All right. If you want to get technical about it, I mean, yes. But at the same time, Anthony, we want to highlight our guests today. So
Glenn, let me ask you a question. We didn't talk all weekend. I haven't spoken to you since last week. What did you do what does Glenn Hausman do on a nice little chilly but nice weekend? What do you do?
I had a difficult weekend. One of my cats have got out and didn't come back yet. And it's been very disappointing. I've been trying to find him, and it's very sad, and it's been a real bummer. So
is that the black one, is it?
No, it's not. It's not not one of the girls that you see jumping up on here. It's just he's my crabby gray cat George, who was all freaked out by the universe. So I'm a little worried about him. But I mean, if he needs to be with nature, I guess that's what he needs to do, right?
Well, I am very sorry to hear that, my friend.
That was my weekend, but I did have some sushi, so that was okay. And I meant to watch stuff on TV, but I wound up napping. How about you?
So some friends, hung out, reorganized my garage for the 37,000th time, bought some storage boxes for our Christmas stuff. So we have stuff in boxes that we can actually identify, and just normal do what I'm told to do weekend.
I totally get it, Anthony. But let me tell you, Friday night, though, my friend, I got to do something really cool. I got to go see my one of my favorite first bands, Genesis.
I'm sorry.
Yes, so that was great.
But he was in a chair. I saw some video of it. How was it? He didn't seem like
he's not in great shape. However, when they got close-ups of him, it was vacillating between he looks like the Grim Reaper is like stalking him, and then semi-normal. So I felt really bad for that.
But how did his voice sound?
Voice sounded fine-ish, but then they had a couple of guys there to help kind of flesh it out, so that worked out really well. Highlight goes to Phil Collins' summer. Nick, 20-year-old drummer, one of the best drummers I ever saw, held the whole band together. Pretty freaking awesome. I got to hear a lot of the hits that I loved growing up. Turn It On Again, That's All, a lot of really old stuff from albums from Duke and Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. So that was a whole lot of fun. Not such a big fan of closing the show with the encore I Can't Dance, one of the worst songs ever, but I'll forgive him for that.
Okay, so before we get into our show, we would be I don't think it would be right if we don't talk about what happened in Kentucky this weekend. Over 100 people have passed away due to the tornado, and our hearts are with them, and it's horrifying, and it can happen anywhere. Whether it be a flood that happened to us on the East Coast a couple of years ago, whether it be a tornado, a hurricane, a fire, these things happen. And I've been thinking about it all weekend, and I just can't get out of my head. I actually can't watch the news because it's so horrifying to have a family in bed and then wake up with no home, no town, or God forbid somebody passing away. So our hearts are with Kentucky.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime a natural disaster happens like that, it's absolutely tragic and scary and frightening. I was a little distracted, so I wasn't paying attention to the news either this weekend. But I mean, this weather, every other week, it seems like there's another disaster going on.
And I think when you go through something like we did with Sandy, and our neighborhood and our house was underwater and all that stuff, and and all the people on the East Coast, you have a little bit more of it's just not a TV show on TV, it's actually people's lives. And so it hit me a little bit deeper than normal, but our hearts go out. Okay, so sorry to start with that, but
that's all right.
And so not Gurney's, but we're going to be talking about a hotel company that has a hotel in one of my favorite places in the world. You know what's as good as having Google?
What? Huh?
You know what's as good as having Google stock? Having a hotel in Montauk. Hopefully they agree with me.
I'm sure they do. I can see them smiling backstage. So I guess it was a good year for them. Let's welcome to the show Atit Jariwala, CEO of Bridgeton Holdings, and Mr. Saul Garber, Chief Revenue Officer of Bridgeton Holdings. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us here on No Vacancy Live. Really appreciate you guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thanks for
you
having
guys.
Yeah. So let's orient everybody a little bit about what you're up to. I know you've got the hotels that you own, and you're also working on some sort of a commercial mortgage thing. Let's take one thing at a time to get people to understand who you are. Tell us a little bit about your portfolio of hotels, restaurants, and bars to get us oriented.
Yeah, sure. So Bridgeton Holdings, a vertically integrated owner-operator developer of commercial real estate. Our hotels are across the country. The ones that you've heard of probably is Walker Hotel Greenwich Village, Walker Hotel Tribeca. Well, you know one intimately since, Glenn, you're sitting in one. Journey.
I know. I wish.
And then we have Marham in Montauk. Yeah. We have a few other smaller independent hotels in like Vermont and others in Long Island, but those are the fun ones.
You have others in Long Island as well? Do you have any branded hotels, or are you all focused on independent properties?
Independent only.
Nice. Good for you guys.
Yeah. So
that's really awesome. I guess it's probably why I haven't seen you all at all the conferences and stuff like that, right? Because you're in a kind of a different direction. So before I let Anthony ask a couple of questions, I'd be remiss to say, why choose to go down that category? What inspires you, excites you, delights you about independent hotels, about getting into the franchise hotel game?
Less fees.
Sure. What'd you say? Less fees? 100% less fees. Well, so one of the first hotel projects I've ever did was the Howard Johnson Express Hotel on the Lower East Side of Manhattan. I bought that from a guy named Sam Chang, who you may have heard of.
Sam Chang. Let me see. Does that name sound familiar?
Right. So before you go on, just so everybody knows, Sam Chang has developed, I don't know, something like 175 million hotels in New York City area, develops them, winds up selling a lot of them even before the doors are open.
There's something exaggerated. It was 174 million.
Something. Sorry, I didn't mean to exaggerate over there. But seriously, it's like this guy's name comes up all the time when you're talking about New York.
I was in Alaska doing a show. Okay, wait, I was doing a show in Alaska. I swear to God, I'm sitting down with who I thought was the owner. He goes, well, I'm buying it from the owner. I go, well, who's the owner? He goes, Sam Chang. I almost fell off the chair. I was like, Sam Chang's in Alaska?
So, Atit, please continue.
Yeah, so this is actually one of his first hotels in Manhattan, maybe the first or second one that he developed. And it was a franchised hotel. I bought it with the company I was with before. And, we renovated it and made it independent. I renovated it, and the brand would come back to me and say, hey, why'd you upgrade the soaps and the linens and all this stuff? I'm like, well, we're Howard Johnson. I'm charging $150, where most Howard Johnsons charge like what, 30 or 40 bucks, whatever it was. So I need to give a better brand experience. And they were just very anti-changing any kind of brand standards, even though this motel didn't have a pool, didn't have a parking lot, had really small rooms. And so it got frustrating.
And listen, to be respectful, it had the brand Howard Johnson on it, so you've got to overcompensate for that.
100%. And this was a Howard Johnson Express, by the way.
Right. I didn't even remember that they had those types of properties. If they still do,
I'm sure they don't. They do. And so that kind of got me into thinking, hey, listen, I think it's more interesting to be more creative and unique. And so I went down this path of independent hotels more than branded. And it's just a lot more fun. It makes me want to get out of the bed every morning and kind of create brand experiences for guests.
Yeah. And couldn't you imagine, Glenn, somebody's trying to make you better and, outside of your wife, and you say, no, I don't want to be better?
That sounds like our conversation when I saw you on Thursday. Glenn, I want to make you better. And I'm like, no, I will not let you do that.
No, but that's fascinating to me. And listen, I think one of the hottest brands out there is the Autograph brand from Marriott, and the reason being is they're very fortunate they were smart enough, however long ago, to have that, because I think a lot of people would be leaving them if not only Marriott but Hilton, all of them. It's like the catch-all. So, okay, people are getting tired of the fees, tired of the brand, tired of this, tired of that. Let them be who they are, but let's still run their machine behind them. So I think being independent, right now we're developing a hotel for a company down in Jupiter, small hotel, And we're going through the, when you build the reservation system and you build, all the POS and PMS, and that's the scariest part for a hotelier, especially someone who's never done it before. But once you get over that, and that is kind of a little scary because there's a lot of things you should know, but once you get over that, it's a business. And it's just, if you're a good business person, you can figure it out. You don't need a brand typically, sometimes I should say, to take all your money.
Totally. I think the white label brands that Marriott, Hilton came up with were brilliant for them to keep, folks like me engaged with them, even though I'm not. Right. But like it totally makes sense. And I agree. I mean, we've done this. We've owned, a few dozen hotels. So and mostly independent. So I've gotten over that scary nature of it. But we also own hotels in markets that you don't really need a brand. New York City, the Hamptons. Right. There are places where we're getting direct customers all the time. So versus St. Louis, Missouri, for instance.
Cool. So I want to get you in on the conversation over here, but Kim is asking, whoa, what did I miss? Unfortunately, Kim, you missed the ultimate secret to all life mysteries in the universe. That's for tuning in a few minutes too late. Sal, how are you seeing life and revenue and stuff like that, considering, your title is the, Chief Revenue Officer and all? How you feeling these days?
Sure. No, thanks, Glenn, for having me on this. So I'm focused on driving revenue on our new lending platform, of which we're going to focus a lot on making hospitality loans.
Yep.
So we have a few deals in closing. We just launched at the end of September. I've been a career lender. I was actually Atit's lender on that former Howard Johnson series referencing that he bought from CM Chang, and I remember it well. We're seeing a massive opportunity now. There's just a real void in the capital markets for hotel owners. If you're not some major owner operator, you're kind of overlooked and underbanked. So we're there. Atit a great partner in this business because he has the operational expertise. I've done plenty of hotel loans in my career, but just knowing kind of the ins and outs of what could work and not being subject to groupthink and being able to look past just if it's a sponsor, that we have a relationship with. Rather, we can figure out a brand, an independent hotel, different markets. We can really drill down on financials and really just clean up.
So where you are right now, where you guys sit, and there's not a lot of deals right now, right? There are deals, but they're not at a premium. They're not, the opposite of a premium. They're not at a discount. They're at a premium because of 2019, 2020. I have a friend selling a hotel, and he's like, hey, I want to sell now because of 2020. As an owner coming in to buy a hotel, you have to build that in and say, okay, we got to take 10% off of last year because that's never going to happen again. I mean, what are you seeing?
In terms of, so I could talk about the pricing. Pricing it is really high. I mean, it's everyone's like, why sell at a discount? We at one point during the pandemic, with just like everyone else probably in the hotel business, we actually started like a distressed hotel purchase partnership.
That never happened.
It never happened. I mean, we just sat around like bidding on stuff.
All the distress was like, why can't we find distressed hotels? Right?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm very distressed about that.
Exactly. That's right. We actually spent a lot of energy and effort on it, and no one would sell. We bid on a bunch of distressed debt actually, and there was nothing. So no one was discounting the debt.
So how do you go after a property knowing that 2020 in the right market was a little bit skewed and that money may not come back? So how do you price it right?
It's hard. Frankly, it's hard to think about. I mean, right now we wonder, hey, has the world changed? Are people going to travel more domestically right now versus going international? Probably not forever. But also inflation. I mean, great thing about hotels is we price every day. So as prices go up, we can price it again as higher. So I don't know. It's too confusing to us. It's really property specific in terms of what we think.
Saul, do you have any input on that?
Yeah, I just see it from a lender's perspective, and it's really interesting that you don't see any distress from a buyer's perspective, but from a financing perspective, lenders have been shying away from doing hotel loans by and large for the last 4 or so years, you know, at least 2 to 3 years prior to the start of the pandemic. And now it's even worse.
And that was kind of like because they felt like everything was already maximized at that point, and they want
you had to run. People just get afraid. It's groupthink. Yeah, there was a run up, you know, starting in 2010 or 11, and you know, how long is this bull market going to last? So people just wanted to taper back their, you know, RevPar assumptions, and you know, new supply was continuously being added to certain markets, and but now it's terrible. I mean, you know, good luck finding attractive financing if you just have a run-of-the-mill hotel and you're not a known sponsor. You're going to have to pay a real premium for your financing.
Yeah, you know what's interesting? I wonder if people are starting to look at hotels and say, you know what? I want to buy a business that's less labor intensive. That the labor issue is starting to become a problem for selling a hotel. Because I know if I looked at a business tomorrow, say a restaurant business or a hotel with a lot of rooms, the first question I would ask is, you know, where are we getting the employees from? And, you know, what's the salaries? Is it going to go up in the next year or two? And it's hard to find good quality employees, especially for hotels. You know, you may not need a skill level that you need to go into building, you know, a plane, but you do need the skill level of how to deal with people, which I think is more complicated, and they don't teach in school. So, you know, there's a lot of hotel companies, including the ones that come on this show. We talk to everyone, and you can hear it in their voices. And we've had people say that we are lowering our standards. So is that coming into play yet? As far as buying a hotel?
I think so. For I'd say if you have a run-of-the-mill Marriott or, you know, call it a Hampton Inn, to get great staff there is going to be difficult. I think you have to overpay in a way. It's sort of like, you know, it's the job, it's the role or job, unfortunately, that's been treated fairly for so long that now people are like, hey, I can go work at Amazon, make the same amount of payment. And so people have to pay them more than they used to. For us, we try to build and develop hotels that are experiential and we're unique. And so people actually feel a little bit more excited. The New York City example, our hotels are in downtown. They're in Greenwich Village or in Tribeca. They're more unique. They have jazz clubs and stuff inside. So I think we still have a tough time finding labor, don't get me wrong, but at least someone can be proud of working there. You know, and I think it's a little harder if you're in a run-of-the-mill motel. That's a commodity.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point. When you have pride in your hotel, and you have, like when I had a cabaret at the Algonquin, or we had in Water Park, there's a pride, and there is built in. I mean, you have to pay and you have to treat people well, but there is a pride of working at a hotel. If you work at a 5-star hotel, it's different than working at the Howard Johnson Express.
Without a doubt, 100%. Without a doubt. I was at drinks with at the Beekman Hotel in New York last week, and the general manager, a guy named Justin Kellerman, used to work for us. And I met him, and I'm like, Justin, would you ever work for me? And he's like, yeah, I would. But I'm like, you're at this hotel, right? You know, like one of the most gorgeous hotels in the world. And he's like, I just can't. I'll never leave this place. You know, like,
so Glenn, tell him what the good news is.
There's lots of good news.
We're going to have the general manager of the Beekman on.
Oh yeah, we are. You were working on it. That's pretty funny. Sorry, I was just thinking about all you can eat fish fry and clam night from Howard Johnson. I was a little I was distracted thinking of the 1970s and how delicious that was, and then how my mom would let me get ice cream if I still had room left over. But I had to eat all my fish in order to make that happen. Fish. I mean, before we get back to that conversation, Colleen is wondering about the lighting behind me right over there and over there. She's concerned that it's not frosted and the lighting might be too much, but I suppose it's you can control how bright the lights are over there, right? These lights right behind me.
Yes, you can. They go up and down.
And all right, good. See, that's what I thought. You guys are smart. You're thinking of everything. You're making stuff. You're making stuff happen over there. So, when you're thinking about,
are we having the GM of the Beekman on?
Yeah.
Oh, we are. We don't know what day though.
I just know that you and Dave were talking about that.
Yeah, and the reason we're having him on I saw something on TikTok from New York, and guys walking around New York, and he said, I found this great hotel, the Beekman. Now, me and Glenn are supposedly we're the gold standard for everything that you should know about hotels, right? Everybody comes to us. We know everybody, everything, right? We think.
Yep.
It's like the Beekman.
Yep.
I was like, that's a nice hotel. And I looked it up. I was like, holy shit, how did we not know about this? And how did we not interview the guy? So, yes, we will be interviewing your former general manager.
I think that's on the 18th of January, guys.
And I think we'll be there. I think we're actually going to go there.
We are. Yeah, we are. And we're also doing something community. We're doing a community-related show as well.
So if we can go back there, right? Let's go back to that hotel for 1 second. When you're sitting there in the lobby and you're having a drink, you do this for a living. You try to make an experience. You try to make it feel different.
Right.
When you're sitting in that lobby and you say it's a beautiful hotel, that means something different to you and me than it does to the guest just having a drink in a beautiful lobby. What did it mean for you when you say, wow, that's a beautiful lobby? What did it feel? I'm sure you traveled all over the world. It felt different. Why?
Well, I mean, this is an irreplaceable asset. It was, the bones of it was built in the 1800s sometime. You got this incredible, 30-story atrium built in the middle of the space. You got these ornate steelworks that come throughout, and then the design, whoever the designer was, just did an incredible job of feeling like you've gone back in time the moment you walk through those doors. You match that with really awesome service, which they provide at the Beekman. And it's really just such a great, it's just a great experience. I mean, I don't think people understand it, like how amazing that space is. I think it's the most beautiful hotel in New York. So.
That's one of the reasons I want to go. It's like, otherwise, because I know people like you are going to start mentioning it. And I'm like, what are you talking about? That would be silly. So
we're going in Beekman Hotel? Is that Beekman in Midtown?
That's what I thought it was. I swear to God.
Yeah,
I was like, they renovated the Beekman? Who cares? That's exactly my thought. Every time I heard the Beekman, I thought it was the Beekman Midtown. And I remember I was offered the general manager job there, and I walked through the hotel. I was like, nah, I'm going to move on. Thank you.
Nah.
But we are talking about Nassau Street. Is that what we're
Yes, that's correct.
I just want to make sure that I got my my Beekman.
All right, free commercial for the Beekman. Let's move on to you guys.
Well, let's talk about the Walker Hotel Greenwich Village, which is now behind me.
Yes.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
Right?
Yeah,
I'll move out of the way.
That is absolutely gorgeous. So what makes that such a beautiful hotel?
No. This is gorgeous, Anthony. You're getting it all backward.
Well, we know that, Glenn.
Hey, check this out. MBDS designed the Beekman. All right, enough Beekman talk. Okay.
Okay.
So where do you see opportunities right now? And if you're going to be putting out cash into the market, are you looking to deploy for other owners? Are you looking to deploy it for yourselves to take advantage of certain projects? My hunch is a little bit of both.
So we launched Bridgeton Capital mainly going back because we couldn't find enough buying opportunities as a buyer, as an owner, right? And we realized that even if you did find an opportunity, if you wanted a loan, because of what Saul mentioned, this groupthink, lenders, I mean, we would get quotes, you'd get loan quotes, but they'd be more expensive than you'd expect, or they'd be at worse terms. Or in a lot of ways, you couldn't get, loan quotes to begin with, because a lot of lenders would say, hey, we're full on loans right now for hospitality. Let's see what the market goes. So we're like, hey, if we're going to take advantage of investing in the hospitality business, we might as well do it as a friendly lender. So we're a non-shark, a lender giving really good terms. And so for us, we really are interested in providing loans to our colleagues in the space that can't find lenders that just want to be supportive of them. So that's kind of how we're doing it right now.
So where do you find your money?
We have Soften mentioned it. We have a bunch of partners.
Yeah, we have about 15 capital partners, different varieties, and also existing Bridgeton Holdings investors that we work with. Some are ultra high net worth, some are institutional. And we also utilize the capital markets, i.e. CLO vehicles. And what that means for your audience is basically the bond market. We tap the bond market. And one of the challenges in the bond market is their concentration. There's concentration limits. The bond buyers will only take so much with hospitality exposure. So
do you break it up into funds and you open and close funds as you go?
Yeah, that's one of our initiatives as we launch. Absolutely.
If
We
someone wants
just
to,
launched.
sorry,
Sorry,
go
we
ahead.
just launched 2 months ago, and we put out $50 million already. So we're actually well on our way.
If someone
Great.
wants to get involved in the funds, what are you looking for them to invest?
Saul, you want to take
If someone wants
Yeah,
to get
sure.
in on one of those funds, what do you have to invest?
Sure. We're probably targeting more institutional investors. We're going to raise for closed-end funds probably in slugs of at least $10 million investments, and so it won't be retail focused. And then we're also separately raising venture capital funds, as we plan to have a unique angle on this platform, which is really using a data science approach. We think that, as you become a national lender and look for kind of deals that are overlooked or underrepresented rather, you should take besides just an operational approach that Atit has, you should really dig into the data. So one of the things we did was we hired a best-in-class data scientist, PhD in physics from Stanford. Wow. He's really using, national data sources, whether for hotels, it's Smith Travel Research or CoStar, who owns them, for other product types, and using publicly available data as well as some proprietary systems that he's building to really, help us go to the next level, go beyond just being a groupthink lender and saying, okay, it's a hot Hilton brand, 2019 NOI is $2 million. Let's give them $20 million. I think we're going to, dig in a few layers on deals and get really take a really sophisticated approach to lending.
You're trying to find a market before the market is found out by everyone else. Meaning, if I was looking at a market right now, right? You look at the STAR report, you look at all the basic statistics that we all look at, but then I would also look at all the moving trucks, where all the moving trucks going, right?
100%. And you see that, on the equity side, there's a well-known investment firm called Two Sigma, where they're buying assets and they're looking at credit card data and consumer demographics. So we're going to be employing a lot of those types of characteristics, and these are just going to be literally rocket scientists working on this platform, taking this to the next level.
And did you guys manage the properties?
We won't be managing properties for deals we're lending on, but unfortunately or fortunately, at least for investors, if something goes wrong, we have that operational expertise where we can step in and help. There's obviously a legal process and lender liability issues. There's only so much you can do when you're the lender, but if we ever had to take a property back, we're prepared.
Yeah, it's better than being in a position where other lenders are. It's like, we got this. We don't know what we're going to do with it.
We're not afraid, but that's not our MO. We're not a Sharky lender. We're looking to be partners and scale and be a place that people want to come to, not be a last resort. But yeah, we're really the primary focus, I would say, is while I say there's a lot of groupthink in the market, lenders have done very well. They've made lots of money in the last 10 years, potentially we all know there's going to be a downturn at some point. We just experienced in the hospitality industry a really bumpy road. We're probably still not out of it in a lot of segments. But we're going to find ways to do things differently and find overlooked properties that could work well as a lender. That other lenders won't touch.
So how do you go about finding all these overlooked properties? Because every conversation I have with everybody in this business, it seems like they want off-market deals. They want things before anyone knows about it. They're all saying the same kind of thing, but it always seems so strange and mysterious to me that people find all of these things.
Yeah, sure. So as a lender, fortunately, it's 1,000 times literally easier than as somebody acquiring properties. At the end of the day, over 80% of these hotel loan opportunities are overlooked because, it doesn't check 10 out of 10 boxes in this market today. So, it's directly through owners, like Atit and Bridgeton's really plugged into AHOA. We know lots of owners over the years. I've been doing this for about 17, 18 years. Atit's been at it for 20 years. The broker channel is very powerful for us. And they know us, we know them. So, the pipeline's massive. and it's always going to be massive. And as we build the brand and announce some closings, which we're very excited to be able to do in the next few weeks, the pipeline's just going to expand.
And AHOA is we're very good friends with AHOA, and it's very interesting because back 20 years ago, everybody looked at AHOA for, the kind of the lower level hotels. Now they own 60% of the boutique pipeline coming out of the ground. I mean, it's crazy. It's really the second and third generation has really changed and really sees what's going on. Their family built it, and now they're really taking it to the next level. And matter of fact, I did a presentation for AHOA. We're in Vegas.
That was in Dallas over the summer.
I was in Dallas, and my job was to present all the numbers. They did this great. They analyzed all the numbers, all the impact, the economic impact to the United States from AHOA, and 60% of all hotels are owned by AHOA members. Billions and billions of dollars in tax revenue, hundreds of thousands of people employed. The power of AHOA is absolutely, there's no second in the hotel business.
Yep, that's absolutely that's absolutely true, and it's absolutely amazing what this group of people has been able to accomplish. But guys, I gotta ask you then, Sal. You get all these people to invest in you so you can invest in hotels. Is that something, all these relationships with these institutional investors, is that something that you were able to build over your couple of decades long career? How do you just go about saying, hey, we're going to basically start a bank?
100%. There's the risk return profile is very attractive. We're not trying to be Sharky by any stretch, but the market pricing for, servicing your average AHOA, member on their limited service hotel, you're lending at 2%, 3% wide of your average office deal for the same size. Then you're getting conservative leverage from a bank, and you can access the bond markets to further enhance your returns in a conservative fashion. And investors are really excited. They're getting really really good risk reward proposition on a safe hotel loan, with operators like Bridgeton that could step in if something goes wrong and, make 13, 14, 15% on the deal, and ultimately be at an attachment point of 65% of purchase price. So it's not a bad pitch, and there aren't a lot of people like us. I mean, there's really great platforms like Access Point and Peachtree, but we're doing things a little bit differently. And I'm not saying one's better than the other, but we think our approach is really attractive.
Well, I don't see why you wouldn't start a business that's viable simply because other people are already in the marketplace, right? So you guys are smart, you're doing the right thing, and you think you're headed in the right direction. So Atit, let me get this back over to you. Are you going to be focused mostly on independent type properties, or are those flags your fans as well?
Independent only. I mean, that's basically all we focus on. Yeah, exactly. I can't do both.
Yeah, you can't do both.
I can't do both. I can make money. We can make money doing franchise hotels.
Those other guys you just talked about do that every day, right?
They do it all the time. Frankly, I know this sounds a little silly, maybe amateurish. It's not fun. And I don't enjoy a moment of working on those projects. And so we definitely want to work on things that are interesting, enjoyable, life-changing to people, and doing another, Hampton Inn isn't going to get me there. And so even if we can make money on it, definitely.
Like you said, it's not fun. And also, and I'm not saying all brands, I'm not saying all, because I have a lot of friends in the brands, but they're job protection. And when you're protecting your job, there's certain things you have to do. Not saying wrong, but just you have to stay within the brand, you have to stay within the corporate structure, and you gotta take your orders from someone else, right? It's like, if I'm a black ops guy and I jump over the fence into a foreign country, I'm doing what I have to do to win, right? If I'm working with an infantry and the commander's telling me to take that hill, I take that hill. So it's the same game, but you one mind is different than the other mind, right? I'm following my leader. The other ones I got to figure it out for myself. And I've always enjoyed figuring it out for myself a lot more than figuring it out for somebody else.
I love that example. That's exactly right. You're taking out someone else's playbook and just like putting your brain aside and just focusing on running someone else's playbook, or it's like creating your own brand story, which is exactly what we like.
And that's the fun part. That's a lesson you learn with the Howard Johnson Express, right?
That's
because even though you wanted to, brands have features, and you can't go below the standards. You can't go above the standards either, which is why you couldn't put in higher grade amenities, even though you were.
So if I'm bursting to ask you this question, are you out in Montauk now?
I'm not. No, I'm in California.
Oh, okay. So Montauk is a very interesting place. You have a hotel. You just built a new hotel or developed a new hotel in Montauk, correct?
It's hard to build from zero. You usually have to you have to take something old and make it new again. And so we just did that.
The structure in place to do that. So you take old like motel style buildings and turn them into something fun and approachable.
That's right. We've done that. That's same with the journey. You have to always take an old bones. It's impossible to build something new in the Hamptons.
So you look, first of all, have you been to Bird on the Roof restaurant?
No, I haven't.
It's my friend's restaurant. It's a really good little breakfast place. You should go. Okay.
In downtown Montauk. Yes. I've been about it a million times. I haven't eaten there. I need to go.
It was actually started by the gentleman's father, who was an ex-fireman. So go ahead and go in there. But anyway, when I went there, I've been there a long time, but when I went there, I was actually there for Gurney's for our first episode, which was in 2000, whatever. And it was starting a little bit. It was still like, if you were going out to Gurney's, you were kind of the lower end of the, the people, right? So I'd say middle class. Okay. Yeah. Even though it wasn't middle class, it was upper middle class. But now it seems that all the billionaires from East Hampton pushed all the millionaires out to Montauk. Is that correct?
Yeah. I'd say that the demographic's incredibly wealthy for sure.
Okay. So Montauk's a whole new world. And to take a chance on a new property out in Montauk, I mean, that people weren't taking big chances. I mean, Gurney's, when I came in to help it, I mean, I didn't even see the growth potential. I saw potential, but I didn't see what it became, because now new owners came and it's a 5-star resort, I hear, right on the water, and it's just killing it. It's the black card favorite for people. It's so is Montauk really as hot as everybody says, and is it sustainable?
It's 100% hot, as everyone says, and it's 100% sustainable. And I'll tell you why. Where is there a true exclusive beach location in New York City that you can actually live on the beach without having to own a $20 million house?
I know. But then if I told you, you'd know where I live.
Yeah.
It's actually a lot closer to New York than Gurney's, but okay, Montauk.
But I think that the Farness of Places actually also makes it more interesting too, in a way, right? Yeah. If you're too close, it's too close. So I think in Montauk, again, it's impossible to build a new motel or hotel in the Hamptons. You can only take something that's existing and renovate. And most of the hotels, if you see out in none of the Hamptons, East Hampton, South Hampton, like they don't have hotels on the ocean because those are big $20 million homes. So the only place is Montauk in all of the Hamptons, really. There's a little bit in West Hampton, but not really. And it doesn't have the same cachet as Montauk. Right. And so like, if my friends, for instance, all live out in East Hampton and Montauk or Southampton, but they have to go to Montauk if they want to hang out with anyone. And then mostly, if you ever see motels out there, most of them are cooperative motels. So you may see, like, you're saying, oh, I've seen a dozen of them. I'm like, well, 10 of them are cooperative motels.
Gurney's was. We couldn't follow that storyline on TV because it was too complicated.
Too complicated.
Gurney's was a co-op.
Yeah, and so most of them are, and it's just hard. And so the hotel we bought was called Atlantic Terrace, for the longest time, really popular. It's on the ocean, just like Gurney's is. And we're one of the only few. We're almost 100 rooms, and our pool is on the beach, like it's literally above the beach. So
those rates that you got during COVID were insane. You were getting $1,200 per room.
You should look at our parking lot. I mean, they're full of Rolls Royces and Bentleys and Porsches and Ferraris. I mean, it's incredible. I mean, yes, it's in ridiculous, insane pricing, and people were very happy. I mean, that's like the other thing about it. They were paying $2,000 a night, $1,500 a night, and they're they're really happy they got a room because we were sold out.
This is what I tell everybody when I train people when we turn around hotels, because I only go in to turn around hotels. I don't take over hotels that are running well. And I always say, when somebody comes to your hotel, they don't come to your hotel to bring home $500 unless they're going to the casino. They go to your hotel to spend all the money in their pocket because they're looking for an experience. And Montauk really, it gives you that great experience. I mean, you have Montauk, you have the Hamptons. Then there was a hotel that opened, which I'm sure you've looked at, the Allegra in Long Beach, which is also right on the water. And now the Rockaway Hotel in Rockaway, which is a 45-minute trip to the city, they got with the program, and they're the only hotel on the water that's anywhere close to Manhattan. So you're right. And people say it's sustainable. When they first started building, it's like, this is a shot. I don't know. But if they get it built, it'll be well received, and it is. And it's they're not making more waterfront properties, that's for sure.
100%. Yeah, and the Rockaway is a beautiful hotel. They did it. They killed it on the programming.
Have you been there? Have you been there?
I've heard about it. I haven't unfortunately been able to check it out, but I've seen pictures online.
Well, I will tell you this: if you're going to build a hotel, go to the Rockaway Hotel, because every restaurant, every catering facility got a deck. So
that's awesome.
So indoor, outdoor. It's going to rain, come in. So you don't have to go to the fourth floor to now you have change. You're right in the same room. You just close the deck and you could still have your party. It's big enough. So they did it brilliantly, and the food's great, and it's great view, and it's 45 minutes, $2.75 on the ferry to Manhattan.
I love it. That's great. We definitely have to check it out.
I'm only here to talk about the Beekman and Rockaway Hotel.
It seems
two amazing hotels. Being
that you guys are focused on independent hotels and stuff like that, and you're trying to deploy capital and stuff, are there certain areas of the country that you think are going to be better? And what I'm specifically getting at is the craze with resorts and drive-to locations going to continue, or are we going to really see a resurgence of urban locations like Tribeca, for example?
Well, I'll tell you my opinion. I'd love Saul to jump in. I mean, I'm a big believer in urban properties. I mean, people are tossing them aside like for some reason, 2 years of a pandemic has thrown away the desire to not be with people, which is ridiculous. Mm-hmm. And so I'm a huge believer in urban, and I think New York City is going to have it. I mean, if you're in New York now, I mean, you see how ridiculous it is.
I agree with that. But But as a 35-year running hotels in New York City guy, it's getting insane to own a hotel in New York City. Between the taxes, between all the regulations, between the labor, the union. I mean, and again, I'm a union supporter, but I mean, it's crazy. I mean, there were 3 hotels in Times Square that were going out of business way before the pandemic, and they had the best years revenue-wise they've ever had.
Without a doubt, there's a lot of structural issues, and unfortunately, our friend Sam Chang is a big part of that, because he just overflooded the market with hotels. But like you mentioned, rates are crazy high. Just the city just keeps taxing us like we have unlimited funds. It doesn't make any sense. Right. When city taxes are 15% of revenue, it doesn't make any sense.
Crazy. And 5-star hotels are killing it. I mean, they're getting incredible rates. But again, it's like you can't always. You're going after the owners of the hotels, and you think they're making all this money, and they're just making a living. And really, what they're doing, a lot of hoteliers at this point, they're just supporting the hotel. They're not really taking money out, because they're just putting money back in. Eventually, they'll make money, but it's so friggin' expensive to run hotels in New York City, even the non-union hotels, because you can't run a non-union hotel paying half the wage. You just can't do it. No, exactly.
I mean, really, the non-unions have to match, for the most part, the union wages. Yeah, it's just the work rules that are sometimes a little crazy.
Oh, you mean when a delegate tells me that he's going to throw a orange pitcher at me, orange juice pitcher at me, because I was pouring orange juice at the Algonquin Hotel? Yeah. And I was like, yes, wanted orange juice. I was pouring orange juice.
There's a job for that.
You're not allowed to pour orange juice.
What about apple juice or cranberry juice?
No, you're not allowed to take. If you do anything, the example we all use is Jacob Javits Center.
I want to plug something in.
You want to plug something in? You got to pay a guy to sit there just in case you got to take it out of the wall for $150 an hour.
I mean, it's some of it's kind of it's some of the work rules are kind of ridiculous, and so that's the killer.
That's all
Yeah,
good.
that's true because everybody deserves it. I want to make sure I say this. Everybody deserves a housekeeper in New York City gets $38 an hour. I agree she should, but the work
100%.
rules sometimes are crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
For sure. So Sal, how are you seeing? What markets are you most interested in? If you don't say city specific, we get it because you don't want to give away your
No, we're firm believers in gateway markets coming back. Lots of markets with the professional sports team, have good demographics, and we're pro US. And I think you're seeing growth in lots of areas. I probably don't want to necessarily single out a few markets we don't like, but we're pretty bullish on lots of parts of the country. I mean, in our industry, what we're finding, at least from the lending side, is people just like the Sun Belt and they like where places are cheap. And there's this kind of media narrative that there's this mass migration to Florida and Austin, Texas, and and so I believe those are great places and there's lots of reasons to move there. But at the end of the day, if you really drill into the data and the statistics, I think it's a little bit overstated what's happening in those places versus what's happening in the Northeastern
I agree. So let's play a little game. I'm going to name two places. And you tell me if I had a 150 room boutique hotel, would you give me money in non-casino, non-gambling in Vegas?
Yes, I like Vegas. I like the NFL team.
I hear they're getting soccer soon, and they're definitely going to get a baseball team before you know it.
But by the way, I went to a Raiders game.
How beautiful was that stadium?
It was awesome. It was incredible. Man,
I've never been in, but I look outside that stadium, and I just want to hug it. It is the sexiest. It is the sexiest friggin' building I've ever seen in my life.
It's awesome, and it adds on. And after the Walker, GB, I would say it also adds on to a weekend trip where Sundays are usually kind of the dead day.
Yeah,
were like, hey, we'll
I have a friend
Sunday.
going out there to watch the game just because of the football. They're going to Vegas. Okay, so I'm going to name another one that's a little bit more complicated because depending on what side of the road you're on, people's opinions are different. Nashville.
Last time I was looking to invest there, it's been a while, so I'll admit I'm not totally current, but it was a really overbuilt hotel market.
That's what I mean.
Got too hot too fast.
Yep.
But same thing as like Las Vegas, there's favorable tax law there. You don't have state income tax, is my understanding. It's a little bit cheaper to live there. You had a migration of people, for example, Alliance Bernstein, I think, moved their technical headquarters there. You can get a lot of house for your money. There's some good things there. It's a cool city. You have a nice music scene, bachelor and bachelorette parties. And, there's lots to like about Nashville. But I think if you drill into the supply, there's probably got a little bit ahead of itself for the time being. But I would say though, I like it.
Yeah, I think what we're trying to say is there's a lot of groupthink in lending, and a lot of people may say, "Hey, no, we're not doing Nashville." I think what we are saying is we're actually using data to say, "Hey, yeah, we're not going to just say no to someone asking for financing on a hotel. We'll say, hey, you may want 75% at 3% interest rate or whatever. We'll say, hey, we'll give you 50 or 60% at a 6.5% interest rate, and we'll have some reserves in there." But we still, because we like the market of Nashville, like we still think it's a great market. Just high level, without even using the data, we could say, hey, it's a smart market to have an investment in, but we may not be aggressive in terms of the terms. We just won't say no.
Yeah. Anytime I take a new client or every time I'm in a deal and people are like, well, I want this and I want that and I want this. I was like, I'm going to go away. I was an asset manager for Tishman for 2 years. And I said, I'm going to go away and I'm going to do the numbers. And then the numbers are going to tell you what we're going to do. It's not going to be me. It's not going to be my emotion. It's not going to be because the building's sexy or it's in Nashville or whatever. The numbers always win. And when you abandon the numbers and you take it, unless there has been times where I have, consulted for people where they had more money than they knew what to do with. And it's about their ego. It's about their family. And it's about wanting to have this beautiful building in New York or Vegas or wherever it is. And then that's fine. Then that's just a trophy. That's fine. But outside of that, which is very few and far between, the numbers win, the numbers win, the numbers always win. And in 2008, You saw what happened because the numbers were way, there was monopoly money, but you saw what happened during COVID. Not only the government helped us out, but as you guys know better than I do, they were funded properly. You couldn't get, 97 cents for your 3 cents on a dollar like I did Staybridge Suites in Times Square. The gentleman built a 300 room hotel, a $100 million project that I helped him develop. And he put, I think, $3 million in. So and that's when everything crashed, and he survived, and the hotel survived, but those deals don't happen. So nowadays, it's the numbers. Guys like you, Sal, we have to listen to you guys.
And Atit can echo this sentiment. We are investing a huge percentage of our overhead into the data science and tech team. We could be very successful, make a very good living without that component. We can go, order some STR reports and call it a day, but we're not stopping there. And we agree. It's all about the numbers.
When was the last time a baseball team or a football team won the championship without that little guy in the corner crunching all the statistics? Right?
Yeah, I mean, Billy Bean made it popular, but at the end of the day, Bill James was doing, this type of analysis for the Red Sox, and I used to read these reports and buy these books as a kid. I'm a kind of an amateur statistics geek, so I didn't really like playing baseball as a kid, but I liked looking at baseball cards and looking at the statistics on the back.
No, I find that stuff fascinating. On one end, I love managing and I love kind of being in the thick of it, but I also love looking at numbers.
And if anybody's interested in buying some complete sets of Topps baseball cards from the 80s.
Your mother threw them out. Come on, Your mother threw them out.
She threatened to. I stole them back.
Which year, Glenn?
I got a bunch of them all throughout the 80s.
We can start with the Ricky Henderson 1980 and skip 1981, go to 1982 and get Cal Ripken, and
all right, I'll
83 with Tony Gwynn, and
all right. I got a Babe Ruth rookie card.
All right,
it's all pretty worthless.
I know you know the answer to this question, but we're gonna see if Glenn knows the answer.
Oh boy,
what was the last team Babe Ruth played for before he retired?
Boston?
Nope.
Damn it! I figured it'd be considered a traitor to go up there.
Who was the last team he played for?
Los Angeles?
No, they didn't have a club back then, I would think.
Damn. All right.
I'm going to let Saul get it. And I'm going to.
I like how you really. Do you know this, or do you have to look this up?
No, I know it, but I'm going to embarrass myself. I want to make sure I'm right.
All right. Well, Anthony is looking up this very important statistic. Saul, Atit, how can we learn a little bit more about you? How can we find
the Boston Braves? I knew it was the Braves.
No, I said Boston, but I wasn't right.
You're right, but you were thinking the Red Sox. I knew it was the Braves, but they were in Boston at the time.
How dare you get into my brain as to what I'm thinking? I didn't even know the Braves were in Boston.
You guys thought you were coming for a hotel conversation. We go everywhere. See what we're going to be talking about. What are we talking about? Tires? What are we going to talk about?
I'm hoping so, because I've got a big choice: Bridgestone or Goodyear. I don't know which one.
Okay, wait.
Bridgeton too.
I got a hotel question. I have a very good hotel question. 10 years ago, we all know it was cap rate, with RevPar number. We all know those numbers, right?
Yeah.
What is the number? And now the new phrase is total RevPar, right? So what is the number that has kind of seeped into the lending that we weren't looking at 5, 7, 10 years ago? Any? Saul?
That's a Saul question.
I ask good questions, don't I?
Oh, yeah. Look at that deep thought. That
look at
in lending, it's been debt yield. 2019 debt yield is
now
what everybody's hanging their hats on.
Explain people what debt yields are. It's pretty simple.
Yeah, sure. It's your net operating income divided by the loan amount. So it's basically saying if you had to own the asset, do you feel comfortable at the cap rate you're at? So typically the threshold for a stabilized asset is a 10 cap rate. Would I want to own this asset at a 10 cap?
Yeah, but it's really hard. It's hard to find 10 cap rates in urban cities.
That's right. So a junkier asset, the bar might be a little bit higher, or just a little bit more.
What's the junkiest cap
LTV?
rate you ever bought at or invested in that?
Atit, you want to answer that?
No. He was asking, I guess, on the financing side.
Yeah, sure.
I think.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that it's the loan to value. So what will happen in urban markets? Just you get lower loan to value, probably. The loan to cost, I should say, not value. To get to that 10 cap.
So what's a cap rate that you've got into that was a little scary?
Oh, I bought things I'm right now. Bridgeton's about to buy a hotel in here in Napa Valley in San Francisco.
Nice.
And it's a going in one cap, like it doesn't have any financials. So it's,
wait, you're buying a hotel in San Francisco?
The Bay Area, not San Francisco, in Napa Valley.
I'll pray for you on Sunday. When I go
thank you. Not in San Francisco proper.
No, I know.
Tough.
It'll be fun. We take San Francisco, and right now, unfortunately, I don't know if there's another market. I don't know if there's another market that's more challenging, for lack of a better word.
So Anthony likes Tampa. What do you guys think about Tampa?
Wait, before we go to Tampa, I had the best deal in the world in Tampa. And I'll just say it didn't go the right way, but I found a deal that if I brought it to you, you would have bought it right there. It didn't go the right way, but let's just say it was 266 rooms in Tampa, 10 minutes away from the airport.
Sounds great.
You guys in private chat could give me the number of what you think we were going to pay for it.
And you'd be wrong. But what are you gonna do?
And it had a brand on, and it was a lower brand, but it was the best condition you've ever seen this brand in. It was their prototype. So I want that number. 266 rooms, 10 minutes from Tampa Airport, great condition, needed only about $300,000-400,000 in cap. So put that number in there. I'll tell you if you're right. Okay. So what was your question, Glenn? I'm having so much fun.
What do they think about Tampa in general?
Oh,
Tampa's great.
Yeah, Tampa's great.
Yeah, exactly.
In general,
what's not to like? We're doing a non-hospitality loan in the Tampa area. It's covered land play. I don't want to say too much about the deal because it hasn't closed, but it's one of a kind.
No pressure from us on that. Okay. We do have to wrap up right about now. So Atit, Saul, how can we learn more about you guys? How can people reach out to you if they're interested in working with you at Bridgeton Holdings?
Yeah. So we have our websites are about to launch in like 1 week, literally 12/20. I think it's supposed to launch. So Bridgeton.com and Bridgeton Capital, BridgetonCap.com is where we can learn more about us, or on LinkedIn or something else. Yeah. Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, my pleasure. And just so you guys Saul is impressed by how much that property was selling for. We can't share any of that stuff with you. So this is real scintillating internet television. Gentlemen, thank you so much. If you don't mind, hang out in the back and we'll just close off the show and then we'll say goodbye to you all proper because I feel like you all want to talk about this little thing for a second. So thank you guys for being here. We really appreciate you. And hopefully we'll have you again back sometime in 2022. All right. That was pretty cool, Anthony.
I hijacked it. I apologize.
It's all good. I love that we get to talk about different things. And I love that we were talking about the financial things and loans and all of that kind of good stuff. Tomorrow, I'm really excited. Your friend Mark Summers is on, and you guys know him from producing all sorts of great TV shows and even starring in the Double Dare back in the earlier days of his career. So,
yeah, Suzanne, if you can pull some clips from Double Dare and maybe the show he did on Food Network, that would be great. Just like real quick clips so we don't get in trouble.
Yeah, or maybe we could run them without the volume or something like that, or we'll figure it out so YouTube doesn't yell at us.
He really helped bring Nickelodeon to what it is.
Yeah. It was really, really
As a matter of fact, there's a documentary called Something Orange. I saw it on Delta.
Mm-hmm.
And he is the beginning of the documentary. They really give him a lot of credit. Yeah.
I give Alanis Morissette all the credit for being on You Can't Do That in Television as a child actor, but that's just me. Just kidding.
Yeah, that actually, I think that's fun, dude. Only you know shit like that. That is actually the documentary. That's where it started from.
You can't do that
Nickelodeon was birthed out of that.
Yeah, I think that they bought that from a Canadian TV station and started airing it on Nickelodeon.
Correct.
That took off big time. That's where the green slime.
Who was on it? Who was on it?
Alanis Morissette.
Get out of here.
Yeah, dude. Seriously.
You're the only human being in the world that knows that. You know what? You need to do something with your brain, like when you die. Like you got to put it in the, you got to donate it to science.
I know, it's kind of crazy. Oh my goodness, I'm looking it up right now.
Let's play word association.
Adults. So it started in 1979, but then it was also on a Nickelodeon.
Okay, name 3 Mickey Mouse Musketeers that became famous. Go.
Oh shit!
Come on,
Annette. Sorry for the language.
Yes, Annette Funicello. Come on.
Forgetting the dude. Shoot.
There's 2 that are very easy.
I know. You're going to say
Spears and Justin Timberlake.
That's the new Mickey Mouse Club. I was thinking the original Mickey Mouse Club.
Nobody would know the original.
Well, that's what I was going for from the 1950s.
Maybe Colleen knows Annette Funicello. Nobody else knows.
So if you're talking about the new Mickey Mouse Club, I was a little bit too old for that, but I think Christina Aguilera was on there as well.
Yes, she was.
Yeah. All right. So fine. I did see that in production at Walt Disney Studios back when it was the MGM's Hollywood studio thing back in the day.
When you were a kid and you were an only child and your mother and father would spoil you?
Yes. Yeah, they spoiled me so much by taking me to Howard Johnson's all-you-can-eat fish fry night. All
right, get us out of here, Glenn.
Gotta get out of here. These guys are saying it backstage, bored out of their minds. All right, listen to our audio podcast, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, wherever you guys get your shows. Heck, that is where we are. And for some reason, if we're not there, let me know. I'm at Traveling Glenn, and I will fix that for you. And of course, he's at Anthony Hotels. All right, tomorrow we got Mark Summers, as I said. Remember, guys, we got one life, so blaze on and
be kind to yourself.